Hey everybody, welcome to Don't Copy That Floppy. My name's Lex.
I'm Dan.
He's Dan. We are your weekly video
Excuse me.
game news podcast, broadcasting live on www.chipit.net.
Woo.
Dan, where else can people find us on the interwebs?
On the Facebook, Don't Copy That Floppy. On the Twitter, at DCTF Podcast. And even on the iTunes and the Steam, at Don't Copy That Floppy.
Even
There's a definite pattern. Twitter's the only outlier here. So yeah. You can subscribe to us on iTunes. We have episode archives and all that kind of stuff. And we just talk about video game news and the like once a week, Fridays, 9 to 10 p.m. live.
So if you want to listen live, you can go to chipit.net on the times that Dan just described.
Yes.
And you can click on their on-site player, listen that way, or you can download a playlist file, listen in iTunes or Winamp if you want.
Yeah.
That's what I do. And also, if you're listening right now to us live, you can chat with us, ask us questions, tell us how dumb we are.
Do anything.
I mean,
we don't care. We have no self-respect.
That's exactly.
Because we're game journalists.
So if you go to chipit.net, one of the options at the top menu bar is chat options. You click on that. You don't need to have an account already
Just
made.
put in a little name and pop on in.
Yeah, and you can enter the chat room, and then you can talk to us. We've actually already got a couple people in the chat room right now.
Yeah, I don't know who they are, but hi.
Yeah. Holla at us, you know? Because that's slang that I can use.
Yep.
So this week is mostly this is like my Khan week. You remember, if you've seen Wrath of Khan, when he goes Khan, it's like that moment of pure frustration and anger. Like,
oh, I thought you meant it had something to do with a convention or something.
No.
Okay,
no.
So you mean just like you want to yell Khan?
Yeah.
About the things happening
About
this week?
so many news stories that happened this week.
Okay, sure.
Yes. So what are some of our stories this week, Dan?
We got a whole lot about that new Assassin's Creed game. You know the one. Assassin's Creed Unity. There's a bunch about that, actually. Some other news about upcoming titles that either just announced or previously announced, with just some new things going on. We're going to talk a bit about net neutrality,
Just
because we haven't yet on the show, and there's a lot going on with it right now.
I feel like we have in past episodes, way
probably.
early on in the show.
I
But
don't remember.
There was a lot of news on it this week specifically, so we
and
figured
it's
we'd mention
relevant
it.
enough to video gaming that we'll throw it in there.
Don't copy that. Don't copy that floppy. Our content is relevant enough.
Relevant enough. It's better than talking about 90s sitcoms.
Oh,
As much as I want to.
IGN.
Then we're going to talk, I guess we're going to talk a bit about Black Friday, because it's coming up and there's always big video game deals going on.
The horror of
The
Black
horror.
Friday.
And then, upcoming video game releases, and
I don't think we have a review planned for this week.
I didn't play anything worth reviewing.
We've got a bunch of news, though, so it probably won't be a problem.
Yeah. Usually we will end with a review by one of us, or even both of us sometimes, if one of us played a game we want to talk about, and just, for better or worse, want to talk about it. Usually we only talk about stuff we really like. I don't know if either of us have done a review of a game we hated yet.
There have been games we've reviewed that I've got, I know that I reviewed a game recently on an episode that we actually lost, unfortunately, where it was a game I was super hyped for, and then I played it and didn't end up liking it
disappointed
that much.
about it.
So that was kind of an interesting review for us, because that's not what we usually do, but you'll never hear it, because that episode was not recorded.
So it's like it never happened at all. So, we're talking about Assassin's Creed Unity. Where to start?
Where to start?
Why don't, I mean, the big thing in the news right now is that this game's apparently glitchy as hell.
Yeah.
This game's apparently not very polished.
So, in yet another shining example of a AAA title brought to market before it was done,
Yep.
Assassin's Creed Unity is just chock full of glitches. Specifically, we're going to be citing an article from Polygon from November 12th, but you can find this all over the internet right now.
Yeah, it's everywhere.
This article I especially liked because it gave short video examples of all of the major glitches.
It's awesome.
And they were all hilarious.
And it's great. I mean, and we're not just talking about a game that launches with one or two silly glitches or a single big game-breaking glitch. None of these are game-breaking from what I understand. Or are there any that are severely hindering to the gameplay? Not particularly.
A lot of the criticism about that has been that this game will often chug at
Yes.
certain points, and that will be very
Most of these are like
gameplay.
cosmetic glitches or
Yeah.
physics glitches or
Some
like
of them
just
are
weird
like falling through
collision.
the abyss,
Yeah, collision things.
and that I guess could hinder gameplay.
Yeah. Not much about just like straight up freezing or anything, at least.
Not as much of that, no.
Which is good.
Yeah.
Because it means the game is playable.
Congratulations, Ubisoft.
You made a playable video game. But no, a lot of them are very silly and very fun. But this is like a perfect example of a company that's like, we got this hot commodity. We gotta get it out by this date because people want this new video game for these new consoles, and make sure it looks real good, make sure it really shows off that new hardware and makes it look really awesome so more people buy the Xbones and the PS4s. So it's a classic example of ignoring quality testing in favor of getting the money.
Yeah.
For this
Definitely.
release.
And they certainly made a lot of money on it.
Yeah.
Because those people, I mean...
It had a big release. Lots of people bought it.
Yeah.
Lots of people are enjoying it, which is fine.
When it works.
When it works.
People enjoy
But
it.
it's a mess. This is a AAA title. What happened? Usually, I feel like we can at least feel assured that a AAA game, a game with all this money behind it, all this dev time behind it, all of this advertising behind it, is going to work. You know?
Or at least if it doesn't work, it'll have a day one download patch.
Yeah, 20 gigabytes.
20 gigabytes.
To fix it.
Another thing that came out this past week,
Yeah.
the Halo Mr. Chef Anniversary Edition.
It's out. It works, apparently.
All those people who bought physical copies, I hope they enjoyed their 20 gigabyte download.
I'm sure they didn't. But yeah, so like, it's upsetting to me. We talked about this, something sort of like this a couple weeks back. I can't remember the game, but it was a game which the developer assured customers, excuse me, this game would work on release day.
Oh shoot, what game was that?
I'm trying really hard to remember what it was now.
Man.
Because I don't think it was World of Warcraft. Because Blizzard knows better than to make that promise. Also, I mean, Warlords of Draenor just came out, and that's, plagued by server load issues right now. Because that happens every time an expansion for World of Warcraft comes out. But every time, people always talk about it like it's never happened before.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't understand how they don't expect it by now. I played World of Warcraft, and by the time I played the second expansion, I was just like, oh yeah, here it is again. Like, game's just not working for the first week. But yeah, I cannot recall what the game was. But yeah, directly quoted from the developer, the game will work when it comes out. And we talked about how that is such a... It's so much not a thing to get excited about when it's announced for a game. Like, they should be talking about all the game itself. They shouldn't be relying on assuring people that the game's gonna function as intended to sell it. Like, that should be implicit. Of course it should work.
The product that I'm buying, it should work.
Yeah, this is like somebody putting out a bunch of lawnmowers or something and saying, like, don't worry, they'll work. It's like, of course they're gonna work. You're buying a product that's advertised to do something. The point we've hit in gaming where we have to be assured that something's going to work to drum up hype for it is sad.
It's very sad.
And I mean, I guess Ubisoft didn't shoot themselves in the foot on this one because they didn't promise it would work on release day.
That would be really funny if they did and that it was this bad.
Yeah. So I mean, good on them for not making that promise.
It would be really funny if people treated video games like they treat other products.
Appliances.
Yeah, so if it didn't work, they would just return it.
Yeah.
And be like, this is glitchy, I want my money back.
Yeah.
And then, everyone would do that.
But no, as far as returns go and stuff, the game functions.
And you know what? That's why developers keep getting away with these games being so glitchy.
You just raised a really good point, is because you can't return Assassin's Creed Unity for these glitches.
Yeah.
Because no, the disc runs, you can play the game. But dissatisfaction because the game you're playing is pretty much, for lack of a better word, is unfinished. Or at least unpolished and untested. Like, it's not polished to the point it should have been before release for such a high-profile, high-budget game. you should be able to get your money back. I mean, and none of this stuff was shown in any of their videos or anything, so it's almost false advertising in a way. You're saying your game is gonna, like, I mean, yeah, they didn't say the game will work on release day, but like I said, that should be implicit. It shouldn't be a gamble when you pick up a game that whether it works or not, or is glitch-ridden or not.
You know what that false advertising argument reminds me of?
Aliens Colonial Marines?
Randy Pitchford. We gotta do an update on that next episode.
Oh,
Don't
yeah,
forget.
we do. The ongoing drama.
But anyway, to round out this little glitch discussion, I just wanted to mention some of the glitches which are funny that they give examples of here. One of them is the falling into the abyss.
Yeah.
Glitch in which this person's running along a building. They jump to just like roll onto the ground to like do an assassination or something, and they just fall through the map.
Yep, the collision just like shuts off, and they just go right under. There's stuff like people's faces disappearing.
That's horrifying.
So you can see the eyeball and teeth meshes and stuff. It's really goofy.
It's so scary. Like, when I first saw an article that had that as its main picture, I assumed it was an article about Five Nights at Freddy's 2.
Yeah.
Because that just came out. And then I was like, oh no, it's on Assassin's Creed Unity, of course.
There's all sorts of, like, characters hovering around, characters, like, walking sideways, like they're vertical.
Yeah, townsfolk like, that rendered sideways.
Sideways, but they just move like normal, like getting clipped into, like, geometry.
Characters, people spawning on top of other people.
Yeah. There's also a lot of texture pop-in that I've seen, because they hyped up that there's going to be these huge crowds in the game. And they very poorly optimized them to some degree, because, like, I've seen videos of people, like, walking through some of these huge crowds in this game where they're like, oh, we want these huge groups of people because we can do it now with these new consoles. And every 5 feet they walk, new civilians are, like, visibly rendering in as they go through the crowd. Like, that's bad. That's bad. Like, and after all, also, this is also funny in the light of all the hubbub about this game running at 60 FPS and, like, how the processor couldn't handle it. And it's like, geez, if it was that bad at 60 FPS, like, I mean, I guess I'm happy it's not worse than it is now.
Oh, no.
Not that that means anything. Like,
oh, actually, yeah, that story. So we did a story a couple weeks ago about how Assassin's Creed Unity is at a lesser, it's like 720 and...
It's not 1080p resolution, and because they said, well, we couldn't run it at 60 frames per second at 1080p, it doesn't run for 60 frames per second anyway.
Yeah, and now all that makes so much more sense, because because with all the things that I've been reading that aren't the goofy glitches, that are the things where the game will chug, if this had come out at 1080p, it would have been probably unplayable.
Yeah.
It would have chugged so bad.
Well, they didn't have the time to make sure it worked even at 720p.
That's true.
Like it's.
So let's move on to what people.
I want to say one more thing, and that's that I don't want to criticize the developers of this game, like the team that put the game together.
Agreed. Yeah.
This is clear. This to me stinks of a situation where the publisher in charge, so Ubisoft technically, is at fault for forcing the game out the door before the dev team had time to test and fix everything. So, like, I want to stress that we're not crapping on the people who actually made the game here, because they did their jobs as best they could, I'm sure. So, it's just a shame that they didn't have more time to finish their jobs.
So let's move on to what people are saying about this game.
Yes.
We have 2 reviews we're using specifically as examples. Actually, did you bring up any other ones, Dan?
I didn't. I actually only got the ones that you posted.
So
I can pull up some others right now, though.
Okay, if you feel like it. It would be nice to compare some other scores, but it's not necessary. So our 2 sites that we like to visit most for video game news, obviously IGN and GameSpot. No, actually,
unbiased news.
The 2 sites we like to visit most for news are
rough.
Are Polygon and Destructoid.
Right.
Because we think they're just really great video game news sites.
Yeah. If
you don't visit them, you should. If you don't visit them, but you listen to us on a regular basis, surprise, you visit those sites. So we're citing 2 reviews from both of those.
Yes.
And they had some really interesting things to say about it. Specifically, the Polygon review I read at length.
Yeah.
And
I'm going to admit that I was actually surprised at the score that Polygon gave to the game. I honestly expected it to be slightly higher in spite of all the glitches.
Yeah.
Just because of, I suppose that's just because of my lack of faith in games journalism. I was pretty happy to see that it received the 6.5 that it received.
Yeah, so there's so in Polygon it received a 6.5, on Destructoid I believe it received a 7.
A 7, which also surprised me, because usually Destructoid is more harsh on stuff like this.
Yeah, I was kind of expecting the opposite on these scores, but the Polygon one brings up a lot of really interesting points.
Right.
It talks about how it chugs a lot, and it talks about how in terms of, and this is more aimed specifically at the game developers, that there are still a lot of problems that this game has with its gameplay that the Assassin's Creed games have always had. And
that have never been addressed.
Yeah, that really they haven't paid enough attention to try and fix.
I mean, the biggest step forward in the entire series was Assassin's Creed to Assassin's Creed 2.
Yeah.
And that was a while ago.
That was a while ago.
But that game was 2 was a huge step forward from the first game in every single way. And it was great. I really liked 2. But ever since then, it's kind of stagnated. There's not enough new in each game to really warrant it in some ways, aside from the new settings and things like that.
Well, a lot of what this article talks about is how Black Flag they viewed as a big turning point because it opened up the world more and gave more different gameplay options.
Yes.
Whereas with Unity, it goes sort of back to its roots in terms of what you're doing.
Yes.
And really puts the emphasis on stealthily takedowns.
Yeah.
Which is great because that's what the series should be about.
Mm-hmm.
But then it doesn't do enough to improve on the original formula of those takedowns. A few specific gripes they had was certain small object collision detection was really bad. So when you're trying to run through a crowd or something, if there's a soapbox on the ground, it can trip you up.
Yeah,
which
you'll get stuck on it.
Yeah, which is a huge bummer.
Yeah.
And also getting sort of sneaking through smaller spaces, specifically stuff like windows, was really difficult.
Yeah, because they made a very big deal about that too.
Yeah,
in the first videos and stuff, showing that you could just climb in through windows now and everything too, and just go through all these buildings, which was new as well for the series.
And that was especially annoying to the reviewer because he was like, there are all these amazingly designed interiors, and they're just making it difficult for me to get into them.
Yeah. It should feel fluid and fun and functional, so you can enjoy everything.
So that was the bad stuff. And really the biggest part of that, the biggest gripe of all that bad stuff was the fact that the game doesn't work very well in terms of it chugging.
Polygon also mentioned that the story of it was rather uninteresting.
Oh, that's true. They said the story was kind of uninteresting and a little short, I think.
Yeah.
And so there was that.
Which is probably due to the fact that they were pushing the multiplayer of this one so badly, too.
Yeah, I believe it.
I bet that they put a lot more development time into that multiplayer, which took away resources from writing a lengthy, well-thought-out story that had an actual interesting hook.
But in terms of the good stuff, they do talk a lot about a lot of good stuff. Specifically things like the interiors to buildings, the fact that you can go inside of all these buildings and there's a lot to explore within that in addition to the city, and just that they really spent a lot of time building Paris, all of Paris, and the level of detail. I think this reviewer talks about how it's unprecedented. He really hasn't seen a game.
If we take away the glitches, if we pretend the glitches are not a thing, the game looks, sounds, and feels like a real next-gen thing.
Yeah.
A real thing for this console generation. It feels like something that could not have been done on the last console generation.
Definitely.
And it's one of the first games to really feel like that.
Like what Watch Dogs wanted to be.
Ugh. Does anyone else remember Watch Dogs?
It was a smash hit.
It was a smash hit, and then everyone forgot about it a couple weeks later. Remember how amazing and unprecedented and new and exciting it was? No?
No.
No one? No, not anybody.
Bueller?
Bueller?
But yeah, it's they really talk about how it's the level of detail is really astounding.
Right.
And it's interesting to me if you read the Polygon article and the Destructoid article.
Yes.
The Polygon...
I didn't read as much from the Destructoid article, actually.
I didn't either. No, but I did skim it, though. And if you compare the two, it's actually really interesting because you've got the Polygon one that has the slightly lower score. They both sort of talk about the same stuff, but they emphasize the different sides of the coins. So the Polygon article starts off saying, like, oh, this game was good because of this, this, and this. But the major problems were these, and that's why the score is 6.5.
It seriously detracted from the good things.
Whereas the Destructoid article is like, okay, so it had these glitches, but these are all the good things, so it got a 7. So it was interesting how they just approached it in opposite ways.
Right. It's just up to... I mean, that's a small enough difference in score, too, that it's, it's just depends on the person who played the game.
Yeah.
For the review. Like, that's it. I pulled up Metacritic, everybody's favorite review site. Not endorsing Metacritic as a good judge of how good a game is, by the way. Yeah. But it's just a good collection of reviews. So the Unity's Metascore across everything right now is a 76. So, not amazing, but not bad.
It's like, the thing is, it's usually much, much higher than that, especially
however, and that's based on only 21 critics. So there's probably a lot of reviews that haven't even been posted here. Mm-hmm. The user score, however, is 4.2.
That's out of 10?
4.2 out of 10, based on 655 user reviews.
Wow.
So
the people who are playing this game, by and large, hate it.
There are almost more negative user reviews than there are positive and mixed put together.
Man.
So a lot of people are very upset about the technical issues and the lack of robust content within this game.
You know why they're so unhappy?
Why are they so unhappy?
Because they can't return it.
You're right. I think you're right. I think if they could be like, this game blows, I want my money back, they'd be much happier.
Yeah, they'd probably give it like a 6 out of 10.
Yeah, But there's a couple reviews here that gave this game like 9s and 10s.
There's 100
critics review. There's a 100% review from PlayStation Lifestyle. I don't know how reputable of a publication PlayStation Lifestyle is.
I wonder if they're owned by one of the major video game companies.
Oh, maybe. But it's so reading about all the problems, I don't see I don't see how anyone could give it a score like that with a straight face.
Yeah.
Based on all these problems. I mean, even IGN gave it a 7.8.
Really?
That's low for them.
That
for
is
a
low
AAA
for IGN,
game.
Yeah.
So when you look at that, it's pretty bad.
That's
and then it rapidly drops off.
Horrible because 10 out of 10 is pretty good.
Yeah. Eurogamer gave it a 70. Eurogamer Germany also gave it a 70 because the Germans they need their own Eurogame.
Well, yeah.
They just don't get along usually with the rest of them.
Have you heard their language? They're angry people.
They're angry people. So yeah, I mean, a lot of these critics reviews actually are not from major publications either. IGN's up there.
IGN
Italia, which gave it a 9 out of 10.
I thought they hated the French. What's going on?
Oh man, this is getting heated. So yeah, it's pretty crazy. This is a game that we're seeing a big spread in scores, both player scores and review scores, and we're seeing a pretty big spread for a AAA title. I mean, the scores on Metacritic range from 5 out of 10 to 10 out of 10. Which, for a AAA game, that's a pretty big range.
Yeah.
You don't usually see it being that wide. And when the user scores are also varied from 4 out of 10, or probably some of them are given it 2s and 3s, but we'll say the median is 4 out of 10 there, for the user scores. That's also really low for a AAA title. Yeah. I've seen, and on Metacritic, I've seen AAA games get 7s on the user scores, because there's obviously people who are just I don't like that this game is big. I want to show it who's boss and give it a bad user score.
Okay.
But that happens.
Yeah.
So some of those are probably that. But even then, they usually only get as low as a 7, maybe. Yeah. It's seldom is it enough that I take it seriously. But in this case, I find it hard to believe that this particular game was slammed that hard by people who just want it to look bad.
Yeah. But you want to talk about... So you found this amazing article.
I found an amazing article also from Polygon on November 11th.
Extremely disheartening, and also has to do with Assassin's Creed.
This is bad, and this article, if I were reviewing this game, more so even than the glitches, this would make me mad.
Yeah.
To find this in-game. I would be furious if I started up the game and was just, like, in my single-player campaign was taken to these menus.
Yeah.
Because that's where it pops up. This stuff pops up in the single-player campaign. And I'm talking about the microtransactions present in Assassin's Creed Unity. So I also want to mention, none of these were mentioned prior to the game's release.
No, none of them.
Not at least in any specific manner whatsoever. They may have said we're going to have DLC things and, like, a store, a currency store, but never was it mentioned that there would be such prevalent microtransaction stuff going on. So, Assassin's Creed Unity features an alternate in-game currency that's used to unlock upgrades. So I believe that you can get this in-game, but it's a rather slow process.
Yeah.
However, this currency is also available for real-world money. They're taking, like, the Zynga Games free-to-play approach on this game's upgrades. Mm-hmm. And so this is also, I should stress, if you've played the game and haven't seen this, it's not available on all platforms yet. And just kind of went live overnight when the game launched in North America. So if you're unaware of this, it probably means it's not on the platform that you're playing it on yet. I'm not sure which platforms it is on.
Good for you.
Good for you. So basically, the player can spend money to essentially cheat at the game. And it's considered you're hacking the Animus with these Helix credits to get yourself things. And this is as much as, like, you can buy weapons, you can buy character upgrades, you can buy maps that show you where all of a certain thing are in Paris. But you can buy all of these for this currency, and you could spend up to the biggest denomination you can buy these credits in for real world money is $99.
More than the cost of the game.
That's insane. That they even put this option in the game. Like, and the thing that makes me saddest is I bet there are people who bought this game and immediately spent $99 on this and just unlocked everything in the game without having to do a thing. And then played it till they beat the story and never touched it again because they had no reason to. Because they bought their way through the video game.
Hey, they might have had friends who spent that much money too who they could play multiplayer with.
Great. But this practice disgusts me.
No, it's really gross.
Seeing this alone would have made me dock a point or two off my review score if I were to review this game. Because this shouldn't be encouraged.
Yeah.
Like, games with this stuff in them I will always frown upon, like, no matter how good of a game it may be.
And it bothers me less, it bothers me less at iOS games, but especially in a game that's free, and then you can get cool stuff if you pay. Then I'm like, okay, well, I didn't pay anything up front, so I'm not as bothered by you charging me.
$60 for a video game.
For a full-price AAA title, this is ridiculous.
And the thing that baffles me is that people pay for this stuff because you're essentially paying more money to not have to play the game you just bought.
That's hilarious.
Which is think of it that way. So stupid. If I buy a game for $60, I want to get my money's worth. I want to be able to play that game for a good portion of time and feel satisfied with unlocking things and progressing through the game on my own. If I were to be handed a game with everything unlocked and no reason to play it, like, and be told, like, here's $60 for this game, no. Because, like, there's nothing. There's nothing there. You're buying nothing. You're spending more money to get less. Like, jeez. So if anyone's listening who's considering buying Assassin's Creed Unity currency, don't! Just play the video game! If you claim to like video games, then you actually play them. Please. I beg you. So this grosses me out, and
let's get away from Assassin's Creed.
We have another article that kind of ties to this, though.
Yeah, we do, yes.
A new game announcement. The third game of the Just Cause series.
There's hope on the horizon for video games.
Was announced. So Just Cause 3 is coming out. I believe so, like early next year, I believe is what they said, but I can't recall exactly. Early or mid 2015, I want to say.
Yeah.
I think I saw spring 2015. But Just Cause 3 is on its way out, and the developer, where's the guy who said it? Christopher Sundberg, co-founder and chief creative officer of Avalanche Studios, said that so apparently there were some leaked screenshots about it, which spawned a rumor that there were going to be, this game was going to be like lousy with microtransactions and like free-to-play quote-unquote like hooks to get people to spend more money. And he came out and said, like most games, this game went through an exploratory phase where you looked at different control schemes, different technologies, and different business models. Those leaked screenshots show aspects of this process and in no way reflect the game we're making today. They are from an ancient version of Just Cause 3. So he went on to say that they probably will look into DLC packs beyond launch, but the core game itself will be complete and free of any sort of like microtransaction when it comes out. Like, it's not going to be launched with the intent of having all these microtransactions as part of the game. And like we already said, that we don't like it, that the developers have to say the game will work on release day. I don't like it that developers now also have to say, don't worry, anyone, we're not going to try and scam you out of more money on release day. This is bad. Like, it's good, don't get me wrong, it's good. I'm glad to hear this about Just Cause 3, because the game will probably be fun. Just Cause 2 was a lot of fun. But I'm starting to notice a pattern here, I guess is what I want to say. So what do you think about all this?
For one thing, to interject, its release is to be announced 2015.
Oh, okay.
So
there was no
sometime.
specific
Yeah.
thing. Okay.
But yeah, I mean, it is sad that big title video games have to be like that. Especially because we talk about a lot of small title stuff, small studio stuff, and they get much less slack in terms of this. Like, if their game isn't working, people are like, oh, well...
People are furious.
Yeah, people are furious, and that studio likely never makes any game ever again. So it's super unforgiving for indie devs, who are the people who it's actually understandable if their game doesn't work, because there are like 5 people in a room.
At most.
But for these huge studios with all these people and all this money, it's like, oh, I mean, it doesn't work, and I had to pay a ton of money for it, but whatever.
Yeah, whatever. Still awesome, right?
Still awesome.
Because you got advertised, brainwashed. I'm trying to think of what else to say to really bring this all home.
Just Cause 3, we're excited for you.
We're excited for you. Yeah, that's good. That's good enough. Let's talk about something else that sucks. Steam Early Access.
To get into small developers. Oh no, Steam, you done goofed.
So, Steam Early Access launched in March 2013 as a system where indie devs could put out their games before launch, up for sale, and basically say, the game is in alpha right now. If you buy it now, it'll help fund development, and when we finish, you'll get the full game. And you'll get any updates we release along the way. This was definitely based off of the way Minecraft was marketed by Notch when he was first making it, or he was making it by himself, and he said, like, oh, give me $10 now, and I'll give you the game as it is and free updates until the game is finished. Which never happened. So, great start. Basically, Steam Early Access ended up getting, like, filled with stuff. Tons of cool games on here, or cool concepts for games that were developed over time, and tons of people buying them all over the place. But this group, like an analysis group behind the video game industry called Edar, was a member of this group named Patrick Walker, wrote an article about the reality of the early access program on Steam. This is from an article on Polygon from today, the 14th of November. So things like DayZ and Planetary Annihilation may have found great success on the platform, but the reality is that most games released on early access, or put on early access, haven't seen an actual full release. Since the launch of the program last year, over a year ago, about a year and a half ago now at this point.
Yeah.
Only 25% of the titles released have been put out as full games, and while some of this percentage could be explained by recent early access releases, titles from 2013, it could be explained by a lot of them started in 2014. Titles from 2013 do not have a significantly higher full game release percentage. Case in point, 9 of the 9 games that kicked off this program in March 2013, over 18 months ago, only 3 have been released as full games. Others have fallen off the map entirely after taking people's money. So this not crowdfunding, but this early access model for video games, I've always kind of been wary of. I bought Minecraft back when it was $10. And I don't regret it, because I did get a lot of gameplay time out of that. But a lot of these games really, aren't worth it. You're getting a very unfinished, unpolished game for $10-15. And then if nothing... you're taking a huge gamble. And I feel like it's more of a gamble than Kickstarter. Because Kickstarter, at the very least, has some kind of protection for people who contribute to a game.
Yeah, and
there's more backing you if the game never comes out and you and all the other backers decide you want to make something of it.
Yeah, in terms of legal...
Yeah.
In terms of legal protection, so you can get your money back.
Right.
Whereas with Steam, that's not really something that happens. Although... Yeah. And I get what this article is saying, I get what you're saying, but I still feel like it's a little early to say with a lot of stuff. Now, it makes a really good point that some of the original games have fallen off the map entirely and are not even still trying to be made. And that, okay, so that's bad.
Yeah.
But considering the dev time of video games...
Right.
The fact that it's a year... Most of the time, that's longer than a year and a half.
Right.
So...
I mean, though, these are still indie games. And many indie games do have a shorter dev cycle than some others do. Even with their small teams. I do agree with you. A year and a half is probably not quite enough time to really make a call about this. But at the same time, it's definitely something to be wary of.
Yeah.
I have not bought anything on Steam Early Access.
I think I have one. I have Broforce.
Right. Yeah.
I think that's the only
that was
one,
on
though.
Early Access. Yeah. Is Broforce still being regularly worked on?
Yeah.
Okay.
They released an update with more levels just recently.
And I mean, the other question is how long is too long between being put on Early Access and released? Also,
to me,
should a game be finished to some degree before it can even be put up on Early Access?
I think so.
To a specific point.
If we're gonna keep with Broforce, because that's the only example I know, from personal experience, but that's a game that when I got on Early Access, I'm actually not entirely sure how long it had been on Early Access, although I don't think it had been on that long.
Mm-hmm.
But it was totally playable, and there was quite a bit of levels made for it.
Right.
So it's once every month or so, or 2 months, they'll release a couple more levels, and you can see that the full game map is coming together in terms of all the stuff you play, and they add other features and stuff. Specifically, I think recently they've worked on online matchmaking stuff more, and just sort of
for multiplayer things.
But it still feels like it could be, when I first got it, it felt like it could be a complete sort of small game, as it was, because the levels that you could play weren't glitchy.
Yeah. It felt polished.
Yeah. So, yeah.
And a lot of the games on Early Access don't.
That's true.
There are many of these games that people are buying that are still in really, really rough stages of development. Stomping Ground
We did talk about Stomping Ground.
Or Stomping Land, I can't remember which.
That was Ground.
I think it's Ground. The one about the dinosaur guys. Dinosaur hunters. Turok.
It was Turok. It was Turok. Let's face it.
That game was not polished. I'll just put it that way. I watched some gameplay of it. That game was in very, very rough stages of development. And never progressed much further than that. Because, as far as I know, it's still vanished.
It's still not there.
Yeah. It has not reapparated yet. So yeah. So, early access, maybe too early to tell if it's really good or bad. But
be careful.
Be careful.
And be prepared to not see that money ever again and not necessarily play a game.
Yeah.
Just be prepared for that.
I mean, we are seeing the early access idea coming out in bigger budget games now too, in the sense that there are betas that you pay for to like opt into the beta.
Oh, that's true.
And stuff, and that can be seen as kind of a similar thing.
XX Destiny 420.
Yeah. XX. So like paid beta tests are not too far off from this. And I'm wondering if we're going to see those become more prevalent if the early access model is not shown to be negative in the next few years. And I don't know how I feel about that.
I mean, we already get so many AAA titles released that aren't finished.
Yeah, we need to play them when they're even more not finished.
Oh, God. What is the game world coming to?
Oh.
Jeez, just
I hope you've enjoyed playing all the completed games you've played in your life, Alex. Because those days are over.
Those days are over.
Every game from now on is going to be half finished.
I want in like 10 or 20 years Blizzard to be the only company that makes
still
finished games.
Finished games. Oh, jeez. And they're releasing Overwatch 20.
Oh, God. The Overwatch MMO
The
version.
Overwatch MMO.
Oh, God.
It's not WildStar, we promise.
By then, nobody remember WildStar.
Yeah, a lot of people already don't remember WildStar. I'm sorry, that was mean.
Let's move on to one of my saddest moments of the week.
Yeah, and this upset me too, actually. Because it's the only part of Far Cry that I care about.
So we all know that Far Cry 4 has been announced. We've seen cool trailers for it. It's coming out. We're excited.
We all know that Far Cry 3 was pretty good.
It was pretty good.
It was pretty good.
10
Far
10.
Cry 4,
pretty good.
Pretty good. Yeah. And Far Cry 4 looks like it'll be pretty good.
Yeah.
We can hope it's not as glitchy as Assassin's Creed Unity.
So we there's an IGN Australia because
why not?
Why not? They, on November 9th, did an interview with creative director Alex Hutchinson. To talk...
The way you were saying that, I was expecting his name to be way cooler.
I know, right? Creative director Flint Steele.
Yeah!
No, his name is Alex Hutchinson. I'm sorry. So they did an interview with him, and they talked about a bunch of stuff. It's like actually a really long interview. You can check it out on IGN.
Yep.
But one of the things I took away from it, the only important thing that I took away from it, was that they directly asked him about Blood Dragon, which some of you may remember as the amazing game that
the amazing
came out.
80s homage fest.
Yeah, that was sort of like, it was a standalone game and it was very short.
Built in the Far Cry 3 engine.
Yeah, and the gameplay was basically like Far Cry 3 except crazy.
Yeah. It had these awesome like Super Nintendo styled like cutscene story sequences. And it had such a good sense of humor.
So good.
Didn't take itself seriously at all. And the gameplay was solid, because Far Cry 3's gameplay was solid.
Yeah.
So it was great. It was such a cool little standalone DLC thing.
And it was like $15. I enjoyed it so much more than Far Cry 3.
Yeah.
But so
I didn't even want to play Far Cry 3, but then I played Blood Dragon and was like, this is awesome. Like, why could that not have been the whole game?
I know, right?
And the same side, maybe you don't want it to overstay its welcome. Like, you know, you get that amount of it, and that's perfect.
So they started talking to him about Blood Dragon, and they said, hey, so, do you think that Far Cry 4 is going to have... Do you think a game is going to come out called Far Cry 4: Blood Dragon 2?
Yeah.
Which would be an extremely confusing title.
An awesome title.
And his response to it was the most disappointing thing I've ever heard. He said, "No, definitely not. There's no way that's going to happen."
And I'm amazed at how, like, kind of aggressive of a response that is.
Well, he then went on to say, we're gonna do another fun thing.
Right.
Probably another fun standalone, but it's not gonna be like Blood Dragon. So I assume they're probably gonna do an homage to, like, another goofy genre.
Probably.
And I assume that from their viewpoint, it's like they want to mix it up.
They want to make something new.
They don't want it to overstay its welcome,
yeah.
Which is fair. But at the same time, like, I just want Blood Dragon to keep coming
out.
I do too. It's so good.
Because, like, you could always make another super ridiculous 80s sci-fi action plot line for it. Like...
Oh, yeah. It could involve space.
It could involve space.
Be like a Total Recall spoof.
The mountain can be a rocket ship.
That'd be great.
It'd be so good. So the bad guy wants to put the Himalayas on the moon so that when people want to visit the Himalayas, they have to buy overpriced moon rocket tickets from him.
Pay his expensive moon tax.
Yeah, the moon tax! I just really responded to that as though that was some pre-established thing, and it really isn't.
Yeah, that's not a joke we brought up before.
No, that's not, like... But I already... Like, you said it, and I knew. I knew there had to be a moon tax. But yeah, it's disappointing to hear. I am wondering what they will do if they still plan on doing, like, a silly standalone expansion for Far Cry 4. Maybe some sort of Indiana Jones-esque thing. That could be neat.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm wondering what they could pick that has enough fodder for jokes. For little tongue-in-cheek jokes. Compared to Blood Dragon. Because Blood Dragon is littered with references to stuff.
Yeah.
Like movies and things. And just has that humor of that time period and everything to it. But, I don't know. I guess we'll see. I guess they generally speaking know what they're doing, so I'm sure they'll come up with something
If they've got the same writing team as worked on Blood Dragon, then I'm excited either way. Yeah,
they'll do something nice. So... Also about games that are coming out disappointing news about cool-looking games coming out. Bloodborne, from Software's newest sort of spiritual successor to the Souls series, has been delayed from its release date on February 5th to March 2015.
This was your saddest moment of the week.
This is my saddest moment of the week. Although, it didn't actually tear me up that much. I thought it would upset me more than it did. So Bloodborne was supposed to come out on February 5th. It's now coming out on March 24th. The reasoning given for this, because a lot of times games will get delayed and there's not a whole lot of reason given. The reason given by producer Masaki Yamagiwa was that they need a few more weeks to deliver the best possible final experience. We were really grateful for all the player data and feedback we received from those who took part in our limited alpha test, and this extra development time will allow us to better integrate these learnings into the game. So, the game, obviously, once it hit a certain point, there was this live test, probably a month or two ago now, and I gotta say, I actually like that they are delaying it in light of the results of that test.
Oh yeah, after all the Assassin's Creed stuff we just talked about, I'm ecstatic that they're delaying it.
This is fantastic. This just means that they care about appeasing the players of this game. Because I'm sure, they released that alpha, and I'm sure they already had a huge list of things that needed to be fixed in that alpha build before the final game was done. But this means that, that when they got feedback from the people who played the alpha, they actually took it to heart and added it to their big list of things to fix or things to add to the game. So they're flat out just saying, we're taking an extra month or so, like month and a half, to fix up those last few things that you guys mentioned, things that they didn't necessarily even think of. So that's awesome. They want to deliver the game that people want to play.
Yeah.
So good on them.
Good job.
Way to go, From Software. You're cool. So like I'm really excited about that.
Proving that Japanese studios might be the only ones left on Earth that know how to make video games.
Still care about actually making video games. It's funny you mentioned that because I was reading some things about that earlier today about how many Western developers are so focused on an amazing story and an amazing like presentation of the game, like a cinematic presentation of the game and the graphics and all that stuff. And much less often do you hear Western developers ensuring everyone that the gameplay will be unique and tight and solid. It's always one of the last things mentioned when Western devs are talking about their games. I mean, they'll mention gameplay features, but like talking about the core gameplay is always one of the last things on the list. And when you see like most Western gamers don't seem to focus on that much either. All these big AAA titles are cinematic, epic experiences. Whereas in Japan, for most devs in Japan, the gameplay and it being smooth and functional and what it should be for the game seems to take precedence over all that other stuff. You have plenty of ugly games that come out from Japan nowadays that actually play really well.
Oh, yeah.
And are fun. And I like that mentality more. Because it's more pure as far as, like, video games. I don't like seeing people complain, essentially, that a video game is too video gamey. Like, this game just feels so much like a game. Like, yeah! That's what you should want! Like...
You know what I actually...
And after playing Bayonetta 2, that gameplay in that is like butter. It's so good. Like, oh my god. And it amazes, like you can detract it, like say the graphics are last gen graphics. The story's not that great. Like the writing's silly, like whatever you want to say about it. But man, it just plays so good. Like that I just can't. Like even if I wanted to say something bad about it, I can't. Because it's a masterpiece. Because like I haven't played a game that played that well in forever. Like it just feels good to play. And I wish that more developers would work on that than trying to wow us with other aspects of what they're making, you know?
Exactly.
But, I don't
know. So we're down to our last 5 minutes. Do you want to mention net neutrality and then talk about upcoming games?
Yeah, let's do that.
All right.
So, net neutrality. Does anyone out there not know what net neutrality is?
You probably know exactly what it is because
I hope you do.
President Obama, the president of
can't stop
America, President of America.
Yeah.
For all of our British listeners who don't pay attention to politics,
I'm pretty sure everyone in Britain knows who Barack Obama is.
Really? I wouldn't. I'd be like, screw that guy. I'm all about David Cameron.
Yeah.
But no. So, at the beginning of this week, the president of the U.S. Made this big statement about how he supports net neutrality.
He's endorsing net neutrality.
Yeah, he laid out all
it's good.
Yeah, he laid out like specific rules on like how they could make a law that would support it.
Yes.
Basically, in a nutshell, sort of treating it like a utility, like the same way we treat water or electricity.
Because, I mean, at this point, the internet has become such a big thing, and it's only becoming more of a thing, and such kind of a necessity for a lot of people's lives, for better or worse, that it's insane to consider limiting certain people's access to it just because companies want more money from them.
Yeah, so the detractors, the people who don't want net neutrality,
are the people who want to be able to make money by selling higher speed connections.
Yeah, and these are specifically the internet service providers, so people like Comcast or Verizon.
Yes. The idea is that you would have like tiered packages that cost more to get you a better connection. So it's not like now connection speed I feel like is more based on like where you are, kind of like how far you are from populous places. Whereas this would be like, you could have the medium speed package and have like decently fast internet, and then the person who lives right across the street from you who has tons of money pays for the deluxe package and their internet is like lightning fast.
Yeah.
So it's about preferential treatment.
And we see that actually a little bit now in terms of data limits.
Yes.
That are imposed that you can pay for that have tiers, but that doesn't really affect the speed of your internet. It just sort of...
It's how much you can do at any given day or week or month or whatever it may be.
So the other big problem becomes is that the internet service providers are saying like, hey, so we can also... It means we can change the speed of certain websites if we want when this is put in place.
So if they don't like a website...
They can just throttle it.
Yeah. And get it shut down.
Yeah, because no one can go to it.
So Comcast could shut down any anti-Comcast website.
This is true.
Which is kind of creepy.
Now, part of the reason why Obama came out and said, like, I'm for net neutrality is because for the longest time it was just the internet service providers throwing a lot of money about talking about how they wanted net neutrality to go away.
Yeah, they were lobbying for all these things to get passed so that they could do whatever they want.
But now
and there have been, in the past 2 or 3 years, there have been endless petitions about that.
But in the past month, there have been a bunch of other companies that have shown up on the side of net neutrality.
Yes.
And those companies are people like Google and Netflix, because they're saying, like, hey, if Comcast, like Google could say, hey, if Comcast introduced another search engine that they wanted people to use instead of Google, they could just make Google load slower and make their search engine load faster.
Yeah.
And that's not fair.
No, that's really messed up, actually.
Yeah, because it just is killing the free marketplace.
Yeah.
So,
and they would, too. That's the thing.
Oh, they totally would.
There's no way they wouldn't.
Because then the ISPs would make more money because they would drive more internet traffic to their sites.
Exactly.
So Obama at the beginning of this week said something really great. There's an article that you should check out on the Huffington Post. It was posted on November 12th.
Yep.
And it's basically the FCC, who's the people who get to... the FCC is the one who gets to decide on these new laws, not the president. He just can advise people on what he wants them to be. But this article is called "The FCC Chairman Tom Wheeler Tells Silicon Valley He's Open to Obama Net Neutrality Plan." And this is about sort of Tom Wheeler, the guy who currently is in charge of the FCC, his response to Obama saying that. And for the longest time, he was very much on the side of the internet service providers. Mm-hmm. And now that Obama has come out and say this, he's thinking like, oh, maybe I'm not so sure if I'm on the internet service provider side anymore. So things are starting to turn around.
Which is good.
It's still very early to tell, but we're all hopeful because we all love the internet.
And hey, you think this is not video game related? Think again. Because if you want to play your video games over the internet,
your MMO, you want to play WildStar over the internet.
You want to play your WildStars or your KOTORs, you gotta watch out.
You think that Warlords of Draenor server lag is bad now?
Yeah, woof.
Just wait till net neutrality goes away.
What if Comcast doesn't like World of Warcraft?
Who does? Of course they're not going to like World of Warcraft.
But yeah, so it is gaming related. And also look at competitive things like League of Legends in light of this.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, lag is a big deal in League of Legends. So, say you can't afford a good internet connection and you used to be awesome at League of Legends and now you just get nothing. It's a bummer.
Sad day.
It's sad.
This is why we gotta fight for net neutrality.
So, fight for net neutrality. We endorse it.
It's important.
We have stuff about Black Friday, but you can look it up on your own.
Is our next show... When is Black Friday?
Black Friday is 28th.
We will have a show then, won't we?
Yeah, we will.
We will do a Black Friday post report. It's going to be horrible. People are going to be dead.
My girlfriend will be dead.
That's true. R.I.P. and pepperoni.
She can give us her first-hand account of what it was like working at GameStop on Black Friday.
Oof.
Yeah.
So in terms of, we're going to wrap up the show now. We're running a little bit over, but we want to talk about a couple of the games that are coming out.
Yeah. Dragon Age Inquisition. And Far Cry 4.
On the 18th, there's a lot of great stuff. So Far Cry 4, as you said.
Yep.
And Grand Theft Auto 5's coming out on the PS4 and the
Hatsune
Xbox.
Miku Project Diva F2nd? Nobody told me.
Is David Letterman going to be in it?
I really hope so. I hope that I can give him pretty clothes. and birthday cakes when it's his birthday.
So GTA 5 is coming out on current gen. Middle Earth Shadow of Mordor.
Yeah, GTA 5 remastered.
Yeah. Middle Earth Shadow of Mordor is coming out on last gen, so all you people with Xbox 360s wanted to play that.
You can play a sweet neutered version of Shadows of Mordor.
Yeah, it's probably gonna be way worse.
And some other games that are not so interesting are coming out, like Little Big Planet 3.
Oh my gosh, did you know what's coming out on the Wii U on the 18th? Check that.
Watch Dogs on the Wii U? Forget Smash Bros. Next Friday.
Yeah, forget about
Give
that.
me that. Whoa.
Wow, that's gonna be terrible on the Wii U.
Ooh, it's gonna be bad.
It's gonna be bad.
But yeah, then we have Pokemon Omega Ruby, Alpha Sapphire, and Super Smash Bros. Wii U on the 21st, next Friday.
What games are you excited about? Put it on Facebook. We'd love to hear from you.
Oh, I thought you were asking me for a second.
No, shut up, Dan. Talk to our audience.
Great. Also, WWE 2K15.
I mean, that's what I must.
Let's get it on.
That was what I was going to cite.
Yeah. So anyway, thanks for listening, everybody. This has been Don't Copy That Floppy on Chipbit Radio, chipbit.net.
We'll be coming at you next week at 9 p.m.
Probably-ish,
with another amazing episode, and we won't be talking about Assassin's Creed the whole time, so don't worry.
I'm going to probably play some Smash Bros. Beforehand, so I can give some first-hand impressions.
Play that as well. Can you get Mewtwo on it? I just want to play as Mewtwo.
I can get Mewtwo next year if I also buy the 3DS version. So to answer your question, no, I will not have Mewtwo.
I just want to play Mewtwo.
Because Nintendo made the worst decision ever it's a good business decision.
Well, we'll get back to you on that. But...
So if you want to follow us, we're on Facebook, Don't Copy That Floppy, Steam and iTunes, also Don't Copy That Floppy, and Twitter at DCTF Podcast. Where, every week, 9 to 10, listen up.
Listen.
And,
thank you guys for listening.
Oh, yeah.
Those who have.
We
really appreciate it.
Yeah.
And remember, Dan.
Don't copy...
I'm sorry,
Where are you, man? Don't copy that floppy.
Don't do it.